Welcome, everyone. I am thrilled to be having this conversation with April, who knew that she was meant for more. And yet, don't we all sometimes just stay either stuck or overwhelmed or in that place that we want to move out of? We stay there too long for a whole bunch of different reasons. April, I am so happy to have you here. I've been so impressed with your journey and transformation so far, and I am so delighted that I get to be with you often. And would you please introduce yourself to our listeners of the podcast? I know that you are an avid listener.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and then we'll dive into our conversation.
Of course. Yeah. So April Davila, I'm based in Los Angeles. I'm a novelist and a fiction writing coach, but my special niche is in bringing in mindfulness and helping people get over the mental blocks of writing, because you can learn the basics of writing anywhere, but what people really struggle with is the writer's block, imposter syndrome, like all of those things that get in our way mentally. So that's my little special niche. And I
feel like I want to jump in and say, like, we do similar things.
Yes. Well, and that's what's been so inspirational, I think, about this program, which I had no idea when I got it, when I joined Boldheart, that I was just looking for someone to like help me with marketing. But then I saw all the ways that you integrate the ways that we get in our own way about marketing, or we like don't put together, we don't ask for enough for our products, or like all those mental blocks. And I was like, oh my God, I can do the same thing for my writers. And it's been such a game changer for me.
Yes. That whole idea of like, it's not just about the strategy. It's not just telling someone to finish their book.
Right.
It's not just like, how do you get from 6 figures to 7 figures? You can look that up online, right?
Right.
Exactly. You can look up how to finish a book online. It's about all the other stuff.
Yes. And that was where I was at. I was like, well, all I need to do is figure out like, I thought I was going to just look it all up online, and it wasn't really working. And so I joined Boldheart a year and a half ago. So we're mid 2024 right now. I started January 2023. And that was very much, I was kicked into motion, or kicked into a change, because a good chunk of my income was from copywriting. And then ChatGPT hit the scene, and I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, this part of my income is going to dry up very quickly. And
for real. Yeah.
For reals. Yeah. And I never really loved that work anyway. I loved working with clients, but I just had this idea that like I would never be able to make a living at it. And so then I started looking for like, well, if I had, maybe I need to hire someone. And I talked to a lot of coaches before I landed on your website. All very different style, mostly very masculine, very like, you will do 15,000, but like whatever it was, very bro marketing.
We talk about, with all the due respect to the guys, we
all the love for the guys. Yes.
We love the guys, but there's a difference. Bro marketing, bro selling. It's not how we do things around here.
Well, and that was the thing. I was like, okay, I guess, like I was trying to fluff myself up and be like, I guess this is what I have to do. And then I found your website. I got on a call with someone on your team. And first of all, they actually listened to like everything that I said in the call. Like a lot of the calls I did before, it was like, I was talking to them, but I could tell they weren't really listening. And then this whole idea of like, well, you don't have to be someone you're not. You can just be yourself, and you just make yourself more visible. And I was like, yes, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that, and do it as the fullest expression of who we really are, as opposed to a formula. Yes, there is a methodology that you can follow, but it's not about doing things in a way that feel against our values and against who we really are.
Yeah.
April, I really want to talk about the stirring inside that you felt that you were meant for more.
Yeah. I don't think I even let myself fully feel that until I was like hearing things that you were saying. I never wanted to be a struggling artist. Like never. My mom was a struggling artist, and God love her. She put us through college. I was a painter. She struggled the whole way. And I went into science because I was like, I'm gonna have a good job, and I'm gonna do the, and again, trying to be something that I wasn't. I always wanted to, like, writing was the thing that I loved, that came easily, that I wanted to do, but I had this idea that I had to do the practical thing, and always with that call. And then even as I started writing, even after I had finished my first novel, this idea that, like, well, that's nice, but I have to have something practical to pay the bills. Instead of leaning into the things that I really love. And this is, you talk about holding your beach ball down, right? And we've had a couple of moments where you have opened up my eyes to that. And my beach ball was the mindfulness part of this. And I was so afraid to talk about it with anybody. And what you pointed out to me was that is actually what makes me unique in the marketplace.
Ooh,
and when I started,
full body on that
all
one.
all the time. Oh, and when I started leaning, like, I started putting it in my social media bio, like, everywhere you look now, it's like mindfulness is part, like, front and center, what I do. And it's true that, like, I had some people unsubscribe. They were never going to be clients. And that was another thing I really came to be more at peace out of, like, if I really am going to kind of speak my truth, be who I really want to be, there are going to be people who step away, and that's okay. I don't need 5,000 clients. I really need about a dozen.
Yeah.
And they are not that hard to find if I'm putting forth what I'm actually offering. And I don't like just to have permission almost from you. Not even, I'm not even sure how to explain it, actually. It's like somewhere between permission and encouragement of, like, do the thing you really want to do. And some people will like it and some people won't. And just that, like, it's going to be okay. And you will be a happier person doing the things that you love and actually making money at it. Like that. That's exciting.
When you are, I told somebody this morning, this woman who's coming to the retreat in September, and she said, I'm so linear. I've been so in my masculine in my business, and I've been logical and practical, and I'm scared to do what's on my heart.
Yeah.
And what I said to her is, ironically, everything you want is on the other side of you, not doing it in the way that feels inauthentic.
Yeah.
The more, meaning that's when you're going to start making money. What I will share is that people smell inauthenticity.
Every time.
You know what we're going to do? I hear that buzzing. So I'm just going to make a note, like 8 minutes. We're just going to edit that
cut that part out. Sorry, my neighbors are doing some construction. I did try to, like, close the doors and stuff, but there's not a lot I can do.
That's okay. You know what? So what was I saying? And then if it doesn't matter.
You were talking to someone this morning about the authenticity. We can wait one more minute if you want to. Or I can mute myself and you can be talking.
No, it's okay. And okay. You know what? We can laugh about it if they keep going.
Okay.
We can turn it into...
Usually it's pretty quick.
Okay. What was I saying? I don't even know.
Authenticity, the woman who's coming to the retreat, and that everything she wants is on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I talk about a lot is that, ironically, you will make more money and have a bigger impact by doing the thing you're scared about.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny is I hear this noise. It's like the noise of the world saying to us, don't do it this way. It's like, it's not logical. And it's like this din, right? Like this, everybody's thinking the more I am myself, the more I will be rejected. But it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
The more you are yourself, the more you listen to your heart and amplify that and boldly go after the youest you, the more you will make money. And that's what happened to you.
It is, exactly. And I was as surprised as anybody. I mean, I joined Boldheart with... I've got the buzzing going again.
It's the din of the world.
Of the world. when I joined Boldheart, I had this like my ultimate dream was to like make six figures. Like I
Mm,
was like, that would be the most amazing thing. I like it seems impossible to me. That was where I was at. I was making about $3,000 a month on a good month.
mm,
And struggling. Like that's like it's just a yucky feeling of like I was working so hard all the time and not being like compensated for it. Like I had this feeling that like I would like to live more easily. And part of that is being able to like pay our bills.
yeah.
So that's where I joined with like fingers crossed that this works. And I joined in January 23, like I said, and in September there were quite a few months of kind of reorganizing. Like I talked with my coach about do this, don't do that. Talks from you and the group about needing to charge more, putting packages together. There was some like logistical stuff I had to figure out, but something clicked at month 9 and I started making $10,000 to $15,000 a month. And that has mostly held. Like I had a bad month in December. I
Yeah.
didn't quite hit my numbers. But like if you had told me then under a year, just by like there was mindset work I did, there was some organizational stuff, but just all those pieces. And I was kind of already doing all of it, but just understanding, I guess, the logistical parts that I needed to do a little bit better and the mindset part of being more authentic, representing myself honestly so that people knew what they were getting and drawing in the people who were the right fit for me. And it was like magic. And now I'm like, okay, so now I have a six-figure business. Now I'm like, well, but maybe I could do more. I could help more people. I could have more free time for my writing. I mean, because that was ultimately the goal with my business was to set up something that would provide me with enough income that I could write what I want to write without worrying too much about the marketplace.
Hmm. And that idea of uh, making very good money
Yeah.
doing that which you would do for free
Yeah.
is the most interesting thing. When
Yeah.
we are, when, well, it takes overcoming the beliefs and the fears, right?
Yeah.
What,
That's a big part of it.
because that is a leap of faith, right?
Yeah.
And before we hit record, you said that leap of faith was like a big thing that's taken you here. And of course, you're going to reach multiple 6 and 7 figures. It's amazing that you go in about a year from 3K to 10 or 15K a month. That is
Yeah.
a very interesting, inspiring transformation. Tell me about the mindset shifts that you've made in this period of time.
Oh my
Or
goodness.
overcoming the resistance. Like, what was the resistance? What are the shifts that needed to happen on a mindset, beliefs, or fear level?
There were probably more than I even realize, but the ones that come to mind are the biggies were around money. How much am I allowed to make? How much are writers really allowed to make? Aren't we supposed to be like poor, like waiting tables all the time? And I didn't want that, but I couldn't really see a version of myself that wasn't that.
Well, and
And
it wasn't
so
modeled to you by your parent, right? Your mother.
right. Yeah. And yeah, because she struggled and I'm so grateful for everything that she did. But I needed to be able to see a different possibility for myself. And I think that was the big mind shift. And being part of the Bold Heart community was a big part of that because I would log on and there'd be these women talking about like, oh, I had a 12K month, I had a 15K month. And I'm like, oh, like, you look just like me. Like you're a normal person. Like maybe I could do that too. And starting to understand that like you don't have to be some kind of special, unusual person to make a decent living. You just have to, have some guidance really and that mindset and be able to see yourself being successful. So that was a big one. I
Mhm.
also did at your recommendation, I did do some mindset work outside of Bold Heart. Like I went and sought out more to deal with more of those money blocks of like, I didn't even realize I had a big block around money being unsafe because I
Mm.
had 3 people I knew in college who, not in college, but prior to college, their families had been either like someone had been kidnapped and held for ransom because they were a wealthy family. I had another friend whose house was broken into and the whole family was held at gunpoint until the dad opened the safe and like handed over the money. And
God,
like, these weren't like close friends, but I had heard these stories. And in my mind, I was like, well, thank goodness I'm poor. No one's going to hold me at gunpoint. And I had never really thought about the fact that was deeply ingrained of like, it's not safe to be wealthy.
gosh, can
And
you imagine this? Like the fact that you witnessed that. This is, I've been teaching mindset for 20 years, tens of thousands of people. And
yeah,
we experience or witness something. We create a meaning around it
yeah,
without realizing it. And
yeah,
then from that subconscious belief, self image, state, way of approaching life, we approach life, which
yeah.
is don't charge too much. I think I remember coaching you one time and we were talking about charging more, right? Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I do.
And we approach life in accordance to our subconscious fears or beliefs.
Yeah.
And that will keep us not making the money that we want. It's very easy
Yeah.
to
And I did not recognize that at all.
when I noticed that one of my big jobs with our members at Boldheart is that I have a unique ability to pinpoint the limiting belief or the fear or the thing that
Hmm.
happened in childhood that created that experience that has a person act a certain way and say that thing that happened when you were 7 or the fear that you have of XYZ. If you go and have one session with somebody, whether EFT,
Hmm.
NLP, body code, Psych K, I'm always listing all the letters.
So many.
So many. There's so many options. You go and you have one session with somebody and bang, that subconscious belief is no longer there, which means
Yeah.
you act differently in your business, which means you increase your impact and your revenues. And it
Yeah.
really can be that simple. And this is what happened to you.
And I still have moments of like, really? Wow, that was all I had to do. I mean, not that it was a simple thing. Like you have to be able to even recognize it and then know to like get someone to help you with it. But once I did those things, it actually was a pretty quick turnaround. And I could start to recognize when I was, like you say, like pushing away and pulling at the same time. Like, yes, I want the new clients, but no, I don't want the, like, I started to recognize when I was doing that. And yeah, it's a game changer.
I think the majority of people out there, women out there in business, think that it's all about the strategy.
Yeah.
And in my early career, I would work with two, private coaching, two people who were very similar. And I would give one, the client attraction system and, teach her through it. Early days, baby Fabienne, right? and I'd give the same thing to another one. And one, was off to the races and immediately got to 6 figures and then multiple 6 figures. And then the other one struggled. And I noticed that it was the beliefs, the fears, the self-image, the deserving, the worthiness, all of that stuff that actually got in the way of implementing, of going after that big dream, of reaching out to somebody, of creating the program, launching the thing, getting up on that stage, raising the prices. It really came down to mindset.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're perfectly showcasing that strategy is amazing, but this mindset first methodology that we do is the way to go, whether you do it with me or on your own, right? This mindset
Yeah.
first methodology of saying, like, if it's not happening again and again and again, it's not just a question of strategy.
Yeah.
What am I believing? What am I fearing? How can I turn that around so that there is no resistance anymore? And this is what you do with your
Well,
clients, right?
exactly. Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that they kind of do go together, because I remember that conversation you just referenced where you were encouraging me to raise my prices. And it was the fear around raising the prices that kind of let me know there was something there I needed to work on. So the strategy, I was like, okay, I see logically how this makes sense. And I know that the value is there. Like, and I know that there are clients who are a great fit for this kind of coaching program. So why am I so afraid to do it? And then that's the question you take to, whoever, whatever specialist you decide to use in terms of looking into why is that fear there? And then the next thing comes up, right? You're always saying like new levels, new devils, like you figure out that one
And
thing
so
and
the
then another
question I
challenge
want to
comes up.
ask you, mhm,
Yeah.
it's really all about just, for me, and I am an avid worker on my mindset. Is that a word? Worker on my mindset? I am avidly working on my mindset and my limiting beliefs and my fears and my shadow. I do a lot of shadow work. And it's because I want to experience the fullest expression of my work. I want to impact all the people that are meant to be impacted by me. I'm not supposed to impact everybody, right? But this
Right.
idea that I don't want to get in my own way anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a regular part of every week, a regular part of every month that I examine and then say, you know what, this is coming up for me. It's getting in my way, or I have this resistance. Why am I doing it this way, even though I know that I should be doing it another way? And so when I do that, the resistance lifts. It's almost like I take my foot off the brake and I fly. You have been able to create results that are pretty shocking to you, to others, within, just around a year. What did you shift in your business model, for example? What did you shift,
Mm.
like some of the practical things? Because we've been talking about mindset, we've been talking about resistance,
Yeah.
we've been talking about money blocks. What are some of the practical things that you feel has brought you to well into the six figures and that are going to get you to seven figures?
Yeah, it's a great question. I remember my first hour-long coaching session in the Boldheart universe was very much a like, stop doing that, do more of that. And it was like we made a list of all the things I was doing in my business. And there was one that I actually shifted and didn't just stop, but like I was doing a weekly newsletter on all the literary events in Los Angeles, and like that was fun and it had a nice following, but like, it took a lot of time and it was making me no money. I had a writing community where I would hop online every morning and meditate and write with a group of writers who I adored and loved, but it was donation based and nobody ever, really donated. So I was not making any money. And so just going through that list of like, okay, you're going to stop doing that newsletter and you're going to take that time and do a newsletter that actually is aimed at, well, I do a couple newsletters at this point, but at that point I was just I took that time and I put together what I now call my Scribbling Buddha newsletter. And it's a list of 8 great things that happen in the world of literature and mindfulness every week. And I slip in 1 or 2 of my things on the list. So it's a marketing thing. People love it. I hear all the time, like, oh, I love your newsletter. So they open it because it's interesting and it's a much better marketing tool than this thing that had nothing to do with my business that I was spending so much time on. I transitioned the writing community into a paid community. And
Yes.
I lost about 50% of them. And I was like, I'm so sorry to see you go. And I'm really focused on trying to like take care of myself. And the people who came with me, this is the great thing, is that like when people had to actually start paying for the group, they started showing up on the regular. Like they actually come, they are getting more writing done. And I'm so happy for them about that. Like they're happier. I'm happier. Everybody wins rather than trying to struggle with this. Like, please send me $5. I'm working so hard. Yeah.
It's so interesting that, especially as women, we are socialized to people please
Yeah.
and to work hard and not get paid because we want to be the nice girl, or we don't want to be that kind of business owner that's
Yeah.
greedy and all of that.
Or you don't want to be in it just for the money. I'm like, That's kind of why I started a business. But I never would have felt like I could say that. Like I always, oh, it's not about the money. And of course I want to help people with their novels. Like that is my number one goal. But I no longer feel like the shame around the fact of like, I want to make money. I want to get paid for what I do because I do it well and people get really good results from working with me. And I think supporting me is a fair exchange in that. I'm much more comfortable with that than I used to be.
Yeah, and this whole idea that you know I love chapter 14 of the book The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, and the chapter is called The Impression of Increase, and this idea that you want to be an advancing person in the sense that you are always advancing, but you are also a person who advances all those who spend time with you and invest in you.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that people who don't pay for something don't value that thing.
Yeah.
And yet society tells us, especially as women, that we shouldn't take up too much space. We shouldn't charge too much. We're not being a good girl. And we are greedy or bossy if we expect more. And I'll tell you this, you know this about me. I'm a powerfully feminine coach. I'm feminine, but powerful in the sense that that's not going to work. Not on my watch.
Yeah.
You should definitely be charging a lot more, right? And this is probably what I shared with you and all of the boldies, as we call them. And it makes a difference. And it's that not feeling bad about taking up more space, not feeling bad that you're going to leave all the little people behind. That's something that I've heard before.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that floors me every time is that if I get on a call with someone who is clearly a really good fit for what I'm coaching, they're in exactly the spot where, like, I love to find people where they have a start of a novel. They're really committed to getting it done. They don't want to take 5 years to do it. Like, they want someone to kind of tell them what to do. The price almost doesn't seem to matter to them. Like, they know what they want. It's a value. And I'm not like taking advantage of that, but I'm floored over and over again how the right clients don't hesitate. It's the people who, like, if it was $49, they would argue with me. Those people are just, they're always going to argue. It's never going to be easy with them. And so don't go with the people who are never easy. Stick with the people who are a great fit. And the money is just kind of like an afterthought. We have to figure out the details. Yes. But like, it's not even really about the money. It's about the value that they're getting.
The right fit client recognizes the value.
Yeah.
The wrong fit clients will focus on the price as a reason not to do something.
Yeah.
Even though they probably need it more than anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are not here to save everyone. I think being nurturers, as women business owners, as women, as mothers, we somehow feel that we need to save everyone and be the hero. And there is something called, or I'm calling it, hero's fatigue. Hero's exhaustion. When you believe that you have to take care of everybody at your own expense, how are you ever going to get a business to thrive? And how are you going to take time off and be with your own children and go on a vacation and get paid your worth? And so I'm a big believer in really questioning the societal roles or beliefs that are projected onto us as women business owners and saying, that actually doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
And taking a leap of faith and doing what does serve, not just serves us, but serves our client. And really putting up those boundaries and taking up a little bit more space.
Yeah.
Let's talk about leap of faith.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this idea of moving from doing it yourself to investing in yourself or
which is scary.
Wow. Yeah, totally. I get that. Tell me about
I,
your
I mean,
version of taking a leap of faith.
yeah. Well, so when I decided I wanted to get some coaching, and I told you I was making 3,000 a month, there was like not a lot of wiggle room in that budget. And thankfully, I have a great partner who, at that point, was very supportive. He was like, he's a creative too. So over the course of our relationship, we've done a lot of like, okay, I'll take the bulk of it for now. You go do your thing. And then we'd kind of switch. And we were at that place where he's like, all right, you should invest. And he encouraged me to do that, which was really helpful. I'm really grateful for that. But even so, even with that support, to think like, I'm going to take a significant portion of my income and roll it into a coaching program. And it wasn't like a trial period. It was like, all right, I'm doing this, and I was committed. I'm going to do it for 2 years. And I had to not think about the money part of it. I had to think, because I remember like the night after I signed up for Boldheart, I was brushing my teeth and I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
What have I done?
What have I done? How am I going to afford this? What am I thinking? And very quickly, this little voice in my head was like, you have to make it work. And I think that coming back again to that idea of like, when you invest in something, whether it's yourself or a program or whatever it is, you are motivated of like, all right, I'm going to make this work. And so I was very motivated to like come to all the media, all the Q&As, all the co-working sessions, all the, like, I don't miss a thing.
No.
And frankly, I don't understand how people do it. I'm like, you're paying for a program.
I don't understand it either. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
You're missing the best parts.
You go pick up the kids from the bus. If you're listening,
we still love you, but like, get some. The kids can walk home from the bus. I don't know. Yeah, so I showed up for everything, and I remember it was like 2 days later, the box of brownies arrived, and I was still like, oh, I don't know, because I hadn't even been to like my first meeting yet. And I was like, well, this is nice. Okay. And then I showed up for the first meeting and I was like, oh, actually, I really like this. And like, the more I did, the more I was like, okay, I'm in the right place. And of course you have all the like pre-recorded marketing stuff. So I dove into all that and started doing the really practical work. And that was, like I said, that first 9 months was really about kind of reorganizing and restructuring and stop doing the things that aren't working, do more of the things that are working. I mean, it sounds simple enough when you say it like that, but there was a lot to it for me and figuring out what all those things were.
I think it's not uncommon to even talk yourself out of doing something that you know is good for you after you've done it. And you're like, oh my God, no. It actually reminds me of the time when I moved to France. And I think like 2 days later, I moved to France with my husband and my 3 kids for 1 year. And 2 days later, I woke up in a cold sweat at 5 a.m. and I was like, what have I done? And I literally, I woke up Derek, or I told him as soon as he woke up, I was like, we've got to fix this. We've got to go back. We've got to go back to the States. This is insanity. Whose idea was this? I know we've been playing this for 18 months, but like, and I think that is survival mechanism. I think that's the reptilian brain that says, well, I think it's also the ego trying to keep us down and saying, no, you cannot grow. Don't be that tall poppy. Don't don't want more and get it. But I think it's also this safety, like, oh no. And if we would just calm our nervous system and say, let's just do this. There's a reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
I think back to the time where I paid $100,000 for 1 year of coaching all at once.
Oof.
Oof. Meaning
it's a good little chunk.
A bit of a chunk. Meaning not all at once. I paid in installments, but it was like not 100,000 over, 5 years.
Yeah.
But it was for 1 year of coaching. And somebody said to me, are you scared? And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm scared. But I took this, pretend piece of paper and I put it up to the sky. And I said to the sky, now I'm serious.
Yeah. There have been a few moments in my life where I wasn't like, my logical brain wasn't sure, but I just kind of knew. And like when my husband proposed, right? I mean, we were in our 20s. What did we know? Like, but it just felt, I was like, yes, this is the right move. Like, I just knew that. And that's probably like the biggest example, but like things like Boldheart, where I was like, and my logical brain had checked the boxes, like everything was legit. It wasn't that I didn't do my homework, but there was that part of me that's like, this is the right move. This is what I need now. Excuse me. And then when I'm brushing my teeth and my brain kicks in of like, oh, what have I done? Coming back into that place of like, I don't know exactly, but it feels right. I feel like I'm on the right path, and learning to trust that intuition. Even when your brain wants to slip back into reptilian mode and be like, oh, but you should be careful. You should be safe. You should,
And
yeah,
especially when
trusting
we're
that.
surrounded by other people who get scared by big commitments,
Yeah.
they will want to talk us out of the thing that we need.
Yeah.
And it takes courage to stay with our decision, to actually follow through on our leap of faith, whether it's getting married or moving across the world or investing in our bigger future and the support that we need. I think it takes focusing not on what we could lose,
Mm.
that we could lose the money, yet we could, whatever, it could not work. But my experience is that successful people focus on what they can gain, not what
Yeah.
they might lose. And this idea of like, there's so much at stake, in the sense that there's so much to gain. When people
Yeah.
think there's so much at stake, they think of all the things they could lose. Instead, I mean, the 3K a month April was probably not thinking she would so quickly make 15,000 a month.
Yeah.
As she was brushing her teeth, she was thinking like, oh my God, oh my God. Not like, we're going to 5X our revenues in a
In
year,
9 months. Yeah.
in 9 months.
You should have seen me in September. I was like dancing around the house, like everywhere I went. I was like, ah, feels so good.
And so I want to ask you, so you're in year 2, and this time you're moving, you bumped up into the second level of the program.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And
Thank
now
you.
you're at 6 figures, learning how to get to 7 figures.
Yeah.
And you're surrounded by people who are at 6 figures, multiple
Yeah.
6 figures, and even 7 figures already.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What's amazing about it?
They're just normal people. I come back to that over and over. We'll be in the group. I'm like, but you're just like a lovely person doing what you do. And and you're making like really good money at, like, I don't know. I read this book, We Should All Be Millionaires. I think it was, no, it was the Chillpreneur, which I know know her. What is her
Yeah.
name? Duffy. And
Denise
she,
Thomas. Yes.
yes, Duffield Thomas. And she has this thing she says in her book, you are what a millionaire looks like. Like, she says in the book, go stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself, this is what a millionaire looks like. And I was like, I can't, that's crazy. But when I'm in the community and I'm talking to these women who are doing it, I'm like, yeah, but just normal people. They're not like super women.
I think we have this idea, probably from the movies or the TV shows that we watched as a kid. So I was raised in the 70s. I was born in France, in Paris, but then when I was 10, I moved to the US. And the way that I learned English was through watching way too much television than
Mm-hmm.
was good for me. So I grew up on Laverne and Shirley,
Ah,
the Brady Bunch, what else? The Dukes of Hazzard, Dallas, right?
yeah,
A lot of those shows portrayed rich people as two things. Either they're greedy, horrible people,
mm-hmm.
or it's not within my that's not for us. It's for other
Right.
people. Or you have like both in one show, like what's the one? Gilligan's Island.
Oh, yes.
Those of you who are not from the United States, you might not get this, but um, Gilligan's Island, you've got like the people that we connect with, like, was it Marianne and like the professor,
Right.
but not the Howells. Like you certainly, the Howells are always like, not happy. And so we've taken on, isn't that funny to talk about
Yeah.
this on the podcast? We've taken on subconsciously, going back to the subconscious, this idea of what rich people look like. And I use the word rich on purpose because it really is a triggering word for people.
Yeah.
But this idea that a million a year entrepreneurial woman looks like you and me.
Yeah. Who
That's
knew?
it.
I mean, you knew. I didn't know.
But you've heard me say this a million times over. The day that you cross the $1 million mark is anticlimactic for most of the people that I've taken to 1 million. They'll
Yeah.
say, "You know what? I heard you say that, but I didn't believe you." And it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm at 1 million. That's cool." But it's
Yeah.
not actually about the money. We think we're going to be different. It's just another day at the office. It's cool. Maybe you pop open some champagne, you celebrate, you're like, cool, yay. But it's about
Yeah.
who you become.
Yeah.
Who you become in the process of digging deep, removing your fears, having the courage to change your business model, to leverage a team, to put in some systems, to be the most authentic you that you can be, and scaling that. And
Yeah.
yeah, a $1
And then it's
million
just math. It's
it's
just,
just math,
yeah.
that's what we talk about. It's just about making things more consistent in your business,
Yeah.
changing how you do one-to-one to one-to-many, or changing your business model so that
That's what I'm working on right now. I have I've taken all the things that I have offered as one-offs, putting them into one big package. It's like a 9-month write your novel package, bringing in some people to help me so I don't have to try to scramble to do everything myself. And I can see how that will scale. And I mean, I don't know exactly where I'm headed yet, but I like it. I like the
yeah,
direction I'm going.
yeah. What's in the future for you and your business? How big do you see it yet getting?
My next goal is the 250,000 mark. That felt like, a stretch, but doable when you talk about the mindset part. And of course, figuring all doing the hiring, bringing in, I think my next big step that I'm really looking forward to is hiring an online business manager to
Mm-hmm.
do 90% of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
My goal, and again, I think I mentioned this, but the whole reason I started my business was to support me so I could write my fiction. And so my dream is to get up in the morning, exercise, meditate, do my writing, and then have lunch, check in with my online business manager, meet with a couple of clients, and wrap it up for the day. That would be like the most perfect day.
I want you to change one word. That
Tell me.
will be.
That
Not that
will
would.
be the most perfect day.
Yeah.
And also you were saying it's not really about the money. Like that, when I envision it, there's not really a dollar amount attached to that. I have a vague sense of what I'll need to be able to pay the business manager and to bring in a couple editors to help me. But it's not about the money. It's about this life that I want to build for myself.
And you also get to make the money. I see so many
And
women
I
say,
get to make the
I'll
money.
make the money so I can give it away. And I'm like, you can keep some too.
Well, I am definitely in the sandwich generation thing. So I got plenty of people that I can support with the money, and plenty of good reasons to make lots of it. Yeah.
Here's what I would say to you, April, and you who are listening is, you talked about the team and the business model and all the things, but there's also the self-image. And if I could do a little tiny bit of coaching on this episode,
Please, yes.
it would be to, as you're waking up in the morning, before your feet hit the ground, just lie in bed with your eyes closed and imagine yourself with all 5 senses living that life already.
Mm.
Imagine delegating everything to your team. Imagine how it feels. Imagine how it sounds. Sounds saying to your online business manager, here you go. Can you please take care of this for me? Smelling the meals that maybe somebody else is preparing for you. I'm making it up, but
Yeah.
really looking at all 5 senses and imagine yourself um, booking flights for a 1-month vacation with the family, knowing that your business is going to continue to run without you. What does it feel, taste, look like, sound like when you're already there? And that's that mindfulness piece, or that's that energetic piece that a lot of other people aren't weaving in. But you're on a subconscious level, you can usher rapidly that version of your business into your life now. It already exists in an alternate universe. Like, this is woo-woo spiritual Fabienne coming in. It already exists. It's just about bringing it in to your life now. So just a little something for you to do,
Yeah.
before your feet hit the ground and before you fall asleep at night.
Yeah. Journaling is a big part of my life. And I do that in the mornings. Like, first thing, I like to journal, but I've started doing it in the evening too, before bed, and writing as if I am already in that space of like, I'm so happy and grateful now that my business manager is taking care of all of that. But I will try to carry it, like when I lay down, I'm going to try to carry it into my brain and just steepen it a little bit more, because it feels
Yeah.
nice. Frankly, I love the idea. I
The
love it.
feeling is the secret. Thank you, Neville Goddard. The feeling is the secret. So let's just bring that feeling up again and again. April, as a parting word to our listeners today, what would you say as a word of encouragement to a person who is perhaps in your before, not yet experiencing the business that she wanted, having big dreams, but working solo, maybe questioning herself? What would you say to her as a word of encouragement?
I think taking that leap, whatever that leap is for them. And I think probably for most people, whether it's writing a book or building your business, getting someone who's 3 steps ahead of you to help.
Yeah.
And that can be a scary thing, because there's a commitment. Often there's a financial commitment, but when you take that leap, I don't know, it's not just me. Like, I've seen for so many women through this program how taking that leap really changes everything.
For me, when I'm left to my own devices, I don't do nearly as much as when I'm in a community and I have skin in the game and I have people believing in me and I have strategies that I didn't know about. I didn't even know that I didn't know about those.
Right.
And that accountability just creates results I wasn't able to create on my own.
Yeah.
And I think that's an
And
important thing.
I love how upfront you are too about how you still get coaching. You're still working on all this stuff. And that is very encouraging to me, to like just put that mindset in place of like, this is an ongoing thing. And if something isn't perfect out the gate, I have time to keep working on it.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. For me, it's just a lifestyle. There have been pockets of time in my life when I was alone. And I look back on the times where I reached more of my dreams and expanded my ability. And it was always when I was investing in myself and getting outside of my comfort zone with other people.
Yeah.
100% of the time. April, thank you so much for an incredibly inspiring conversation. You are going
Thank you for
places.
having me.
It was so delicious to have you here. Thank you. You inspired so many people today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time.